Tashidelek, and a very good morning to everyone present here. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend a warm welcome to each one of you present here today, congregation of Sanghas, school administrators, teachers, students, and members of both the Indian and Tibetan communities. We are deeply honored to have Geshe with us today, and we are grateful for your presence as we come together to listen, learn, and reflect on the profound message Geshe will be sharing with us today, centered around the four principal commitments of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama and the life and legacy of His Holiness. So before we proceed with the event, I would like to request Geshe Lhakdor to offer our traditional Tibetan scarf to the portrait of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. Geshe Lhakdor has already delivered the talks on the same themes at 3 prominent universities in Mangalore, and the name of universities are Yennapoya University, Niti University, and St. Aloysius University on the 17th and 18th of July. And on 19th yesterday as well, Geshe addressed the audiences that included distinguished guests and dignitaries from both the Indian and Tibetan communities speaking on the same themes. Today, Geshe will continue these sessions focusing on the 4 principal commitments of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama and a brief overview of His Holiness' life and legacy, specifically addressing students from both Tibetan and Indian schools across Karnataka. So before Geshe begins the talk, I would like to give a brief introduction to the life and legacy of Geshe Lhakdor. Geshe Lhakdor is the director of the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives. He served as the official translator to His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama for 16 years. Geshe also holds a master's degree in English from Punjab University and Master of Philosophy from Delhi University. In 1995, Geshe received his Geshe degree, which is equivalent to PhD in Tibetan Buddhist Studies from Debu Loseling Monastic University, Karnataka. He has co-authored or co-translated several renowned books by His Holiness, including The Way to Freedom, The Joy of Living and Dying in Peace, Awakening the Mind and Enlightening the Heart, and Stages of Meditation. Geshe is also the chairman of the Education Council, Central Tibetan Administration, Dharamshala. Please join me in welcoming Geshe Lhakdor.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, thank you. So I'm asked to speak speak on the four principal commitment of His Holiness Dalai Lama because of the larger audience, school students. So therefore, I will try my best to simplify the topic and make it more relatable to your day-to-day life. So the first thing that we interacted this morning was, I said good morning and you responded by saying good morning, right? Why don't we say bad morning? Bad morning, bad evening, bad afternoon. Why don't we say that? Because we all want to be good. You need to remember this when you say good morning. This is related to His Holiness's first commitment, developing fundamental good human values. Good morning. This is like a practice. Good morning. You should be good. I should be good. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night. Nimu deli, sen deli, nime kunya deli shi, nisen taudu deli, we kunjo sumji, tahi shos labiyaro. So this itself is a big teaching if you implement it, number one. Number two, think about your name. All of us have very good name. Maybe Tashi Diki, meaning one who is auspicious, full of happiness and peace. Similarly, Tenzin Siring, the one who lives a long life and the one who is upholder of the teaching. Then Kunkatashi, one who is liked by everybody and always auspicious. Then Tashi Dile, Yishikando, Punzoduma, whatever. There's so many names. And in the case of non-Tibetans, you may be Mary, Jesus, Ram Kumar, Prem Kumar. We all have good names. Nobody has a name called devil. Dungde, mingla dungde se tende mdua. Nye kona da labdo khawre madwa. So this also is a good reminder. In the Buddhist system of practice, for example, in Kalachakra tantric practice, there is an occasion during the teaching where the Lama gives you a name, and then the Lama says, as and when I recount your name, imagine that you are filled with peace, happiness, and bliss. So therefore, I want you all to remember these two things, good morning, good afternoon, and your own name. It's very important that you got a very good name. And what is important is now you need to live a life which is matching your name. For example, if you have a name Tashi Tundu, one who is auspicious and fulfilling, but the work you do, the way you live is inauspicious and not fulfilling, then the name doesn't do anything good. So in a way, spiritual practice is quite difficult. In a way, spiritual practice is quite easy. The only thing is we need to implement it. So this is related to His Holiness's first commitment. His Holiness's first commitment is promoting human values. What are human values? His Holiness has to say that it is important to promote human values because unfortunately today, everything has a value. Your mobile phone has a lot of value. Your car has a lot of value. Your house has a lot of value. Your money has a lot of value. Everything has so much value, but the human being himself or herself, we don't pay much attention and don't value our life. And especially we don't value the inner resources, the importance of love. Not many people value love. Not many people value compassion. Not many people value wisdom. That's the problem. That's why His Holiness had to say that the first commitment is promotion of human values. Now, in order to promote human values, you need to know that you have today obtained this very precious human life. Mili Rinpoche, Mili Rinpoche lagrowa. Mili Rinpoche lagrowa. Mili Rinpoche ina rindante dila. If it is really precious human life, you must value it. And why your life is precious? Your life is not precious because you are physically very strong. There are many animals whose physical strengths are much more than you. The elephant, the tiger, the lion, and so on and so forth. They are very physically very strong, very agile, right? And in terms of dexterity, agility, look at the birds. They can easily fly from one continent to another continent, and they don't need to get a visa. They can just fly straight and swoop down on a beautiful palace like the White House in America. Maybe do the droppings there also, but nobody will say anything. So in those things, the birds and the other animals are much, much more advanced than us. We are really, in one sense, we are really nothing. And in addition to these restricted physical abilities, we misuse our brain, misuse our intelligence. And because of this misuse of intelligence and brain, we come up with many things which are primarily for short-term solution, not long-term solution. And because of this intelligence, human beings' need is endless. I want this, I want car, I want building, I want this and that, and invented so much. It's unbelievable. Human beings use eyeglasses like the one I'm wearing. Have you seen birds wearing eyeglasses? Elephants using mobile phone. They don't need anything. They live very simple life. And they die also very naturally. They don't need any complicated philosophy, complicated rituals. They just pass away. They are born in the nature, die in the nature. Now human beings, because of this human intelligence, we try to go against the nature. That's the problem. We try to go against nature and we attempt to exploit the natural resources to our advantage without thinking that the natural resources have limitation. This is very, very dangerous. Now look at big cities. Air is polluted, water is polluted, and still we say we are the intelligent human beings. The drainage is not working, the road is flooded. Intelligent human beings live there. So how about this intelligence? Where are you using this? That's my point. I'm not denigrating the intelligence itself, but I'm talking more about how much we are misusing this human intelligence, which is the only criteria by which human beings are treated as superhuman, as special. Otherwise, what is use of human life, which is so complex, so difficult to arrange, so many things are needed, whereas other animals and birds, they live very simple life, they don't need all these things. Now today, if you look at the extent of conflict that is happening in the world, pollutions that is happening in the world, be it water pollution, be it air pollution, who created this? Tigers? Lions? Snakes? Did they pollute the water? Did they pollute the air? No. These are created by the so-called intelligent human beings. So His Holiness is very, very concerned about all this things. And His Holiness is basically saying, all the sufferings that you are encountering today are basically unnecessary suffering. Unnecessary suffering means if you change your attitude a little bit, think a little bit differently, you can be happier, you can be more peaceful, there can be less conflict. And he feels very sorry. And I remember very clearly, once I was attending His Holiness for a short interview with 2-3 people. Then His Holiness spoke about compassion. And he said, in order to promote compassion and loving kindness and so forth, you need wisdom. That means it is only by clearly understanding the reality, then you can develop compassion, then you can develop loving kindness. But we don't focus on the real problems of human beings. We focus on the external, glamorous expressions. That's the problem. So therefore, now, for example, I give you one example. For example, in Buddhism, we talk about suffering, we talk about impermanence, we talk about interdependent origination, we talk about emptiness. These are not invented by Buddha. These are the law of nature. And Buddha had to speak on this because it is by not understanding and living in accordance with the law of nature, we are suffering. So that is what His Holiness calls as unnecessary suffering. Because if you had understood that and lived in accordance with the law of nature, you will have much, much less suffering. That is 100% sure. So His Holiness gave an example, demonstration, when I was sitting with him for that short interview. His Holiness said, look, for example, on this table, if there are a few ants searching for water, and on this table, let us say the water is here, few drops of water here, the ant is moving here, and it searches the water all around, going up and down, which you normally see what the ants do. And then sometimes comes very close to the water, then turns back and go. Because it doesn't have that larger perspective. Whereas human beings, we can see, oh, it is here. We can easily know that. The ants don't know this, so they have problems. So similarly, in our case also, because of our ignorance, we don't know many things. And because of this lack of knowledge, we go in the wrong direction, creating unnecessary suffering. So let me give you a very, very convincing example. Let us say there are 3 criminals standing on the stage. 3 criminals. And they are to be executed and killed tonight at 10 p.m., let us say. So they have only a few hours, another 11, 12 hours, right? So within this only given 11, 12 hours, how these 3 criminals should behave towards each other? Is it good for them to fight? They have only 10 hours to live, and is it good that they fight? Is it good they engage in corruption or bribery or exploitation? Is it good? They have only 10 hours to live. Is it good to do anything bad towards each other? Huh? Your voice is so small. Did you get your breakfast? Yes, then say loudly. No, right? No. So what they should be doing? They should be praying together. They should be consoling each other. They should be inspiring each other. Right? You understand this because they have only 10 hours live. But what about us? They have 10 hours live. How many years we have to live? You all look very good, so I'll give you some discount. So even after this discount, all of us here will not live more than 90 years. 100% sure. Right? So how should we live together during this rest 90 years of life? Being nice to each other, being good to each other, being helpful to each other, right? That's the point. Normally we don't understand this, therefore we mistreat each other. Keep this in your mind. Because when His Holiness talks about the need to develop fundamental human values like love, compassion, and so forth, he's not saying this as a Buddhist practice alone, something to do with Buddha, something to do with God. It's not just that. It is for your own well-being and happiness. Even if you have only 10 months to live, even if you have only 3 years to live, or even if you have only 1 day to live, just spend that life, that day, happily, peacefully, enjoy it, don't harm others, help others. Right? So therefore, morality, the first commitment, talk about human values. Values means ethical values, moral values. So morality means 3 things. Number 1, not doing anything that is bad. Number 2, doing everything that is good. Number 3, helping others as much as possible. Very simple. Very simple. That is morality taught in Buddhism. So if you live that life, you are a good person, you are a good student. You are living in accordance with the teaching of His Holiness, Buddha, and so on and so forth. And it is from this perspective, His Holiness is on the one hand encouraging the Tibetans to understand the Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha. On the other hand, he is encouraging everyone to promote secular ethics. Because secular ethics or universal ethics has nothing to do with any particular religion. They are to do with our well-being, our goodness. Many of us are today facing a lot of physical and mental problems because we go after what looks attractive, what looks good, but not necessarily good for your mental happiness, physical happiness. For example, the amount of junk food that you eat. This is especially to the students. Do you eat a lot of junk food? Yes, Reve. What did you say, yes or no? What do you mean by junk food? Junk food means those foods which are packaged, which has a lot of sugar. Imagine most of the packaged food that is available are sugary. And then those that has a lot of salt and oil. So if you want to be good and happy and healthy, you need to reduce at least, if you can't stop, at least reduce eating those junk foods, like Coca-Cola and all those, drinks, where you have to spend a lot of money and then ruin your health. What is the use? So this is also because of stupidity, because of ignorance. You go after appearance. You don't know the reality. There is a big gap between appearance and reality. The way things appear are not necessarily like that. Forget about others. Even in terms of marriage, you go after appearance, how handsome the boy is, how beautiful the girl is, which means the facial outlook. And then without checking, you marry. Then after a few months, you get problem. Then you say divorce or fighting all the time. This is what we see all the time. This is because you don't take time to judge and see things, whether it is good for you, others or not. So take time. You need to be very careful, very alert, especially in today's world. If you enter into a mall, big mall, the things that is displayed there are very, very attractive. The fruit juices and so forth are packaged nicely, and in addition to that, they will say buy one free or 2 free. Then you end up buying everything, losing your money, losing your health, and so forth. So you have to be very, very careful. I don't have much time to explain this in detail. Otherwise, I can explain this in great detail to convince you to change your way of life. That's possible. So anyway, so the point that I'm making is His Holiness's first commitment is to nurture the fundamental human values. You should understand your identity. You should pay respect to yourself. You should love yourself. If you want to love others, first you love yourself. If you want to help others, first help yourself. Helping yourself is helping others. Helping others is helping yourself. And why should you love yourself? Why should you take care of yourself? Because you are the only true original copy in this whole world. In this whole world, you are the only copy. You are not duplicate. You are the only true original copy. Which means you have your special talent, special capacity. So you need to let these special capacities come out. Don't just lead a life of imitating others all the time. There's no need for all of us to become Michael Jackson. There's no need for all of us to become Bill Gates and things like that. We have the problem with modern world is we only copy others. More in a negative sense, not in a positive sense. The positive things we don't copy, the negative things, or not so very helpful things we copy. That's the problem. And you actually lead a life which others want you to live like this. People have a lot of expectations from you. You should do this. Your teachers will tell you, do this, don't do this. Your parents will tell you, don't do this, don't do this. And the society will tell you what to do, what not to do. So you live a life in accordance with others say, you never give a damn thing about yourself, how you should live. That is the problem. So only few copies, few people, brilliant people come out from that eggshell and make a stand and realize their own potential and use it, just like the Buddha. So find your identity and have confidence in yourself. Everybody has different talent, different capacity. That doesn't mean you don't have capacity. You have your talent, you have your capacity. Appreciate that. So that's what he's talking about. First commitment. Second commitment is on religious harmony. We have many different religious traditions in today's world. All these different religious traditions are supposed to promote human values, supposed to reduce suffering. But unfortunately, many a times, as history has very correctly demonstrated, that many a times religions themselves become a dividing force, not a uniting force. Many so-called religious wars have been fought in the history. And today also, there's a lot of unfortunate things happening in the name of religion. Because majority of the people, again, the problem is majority of the people, they don't know the messages that is taught in their different religious traditions. They only go after the rituals. They only go after what somebody says. And imagine that somebody, the leader of that particular religious tradition, is a naughty person, a political person. He will take all of you in the wrong direction, and you will be dying in the name of their religion. So you have to be very, very careful, very, very careful. Those people who divide and let people fight in the name of religion, they themselves are not there in the battleground fighting. They themselves are hiding somewhere in the bunker or sitting comfortably in an air-conditioned room and let the stupid people fight on the street. That's what we see all the time. So therefore, you should understand your own religion. What is the main message? That's very, very important. Blind faith is very, very dangerous. For example, I give you an example. In the name of the God, people are ready to kill each other. If somebody says something against God, people are ready to kill that person. But that person who is ready to kill others has no clue, no idea what is God, where is God. And most of us have no clue what is meaning of God, where is God. We simply repeat and say, God created everything, they are watching. And we do all the nasty things, still saying God is there watching us. we lead a very, very funny life. So therefore, the important thing is always use your common sense, your reasoning capacity. I mean, it's ludicrous to say that in the name of that invisible God, about which you have no idea, you are ready to kill this person sitting in front of you. This person sitting in front of you, living and breathing. You have no concern, no care, no love, no compassion for this person sitting in front of you, and then you pretend you have this love and respect to the so-called God about which you have no idea. So all these problems happening because of lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. So therefore His Holiness in his second commitment says, religions are for solving the problems of the people, giving inspiration for people. So therefore, the different religious traditions must work together. And His Holiness really had made a tremendous contribution towards that. Now, before I forget, I want to tell you one thing. With His Holiness' first commitment, if you want to know more, read his book called Beyond Religion. Beyond Religion. Read that book. So read that book, Beyond Religion. Ethics for the New Millennium, and then the updated version is Beyond Religion. Then for his second commitment, Interreligious Harmony, read the book Kinship of Faiths. Both of these books are translated and published by the library also. You can read it in Tibetan also. They are, I think, available in Hindi also. So read that to know the details. So interreligious harmony. Now interreligious harmony, in terms of practice, it can be done by having all the important religious leaders speaking from the same platform. That itself gives a big message to the followers of different religions to come together. Second, the religious leaders should go together for pilgrimage to holy places. And I had the privilege of going with His Holiness the Dalai Lama in Jerusalem, where we visited the Rock of the Dome of the Rock, a very holy place for Islam, visited the Wailing Wall, which is a very holy place for the Jews, and then all the holy places for Christianity. We visited all those places and did prayer and meditation together. Similarly, I had the privilege of sitting with His Holiness under Bodhi tree with our Christian brothers and sisters. And in Ladakh, as you have seen, His Holiness is in Ladakh. The first thing he did was meeting the Muslim brothers and sisters. So let people believe whatever they want to do, so long as they don't misuse their religion, so long as they don't harm other people. Respect. It's like you're wanting to eat rice, I wanting to eat chapati. You want rice? Okay. I want chapati? Okay. I cannot say because I like chapati, you must eat chapati. It is stupid. This is stupid. So therefore there should be religious pluralism. That means for you, one particular religion may be good. Like for me, Buddhism is best. But this does not mean to say Buddhism is best for everybody. For someone else, Christianity is best. For others, Islam is best. So let them respect. It's like your spiritual food. Just like for your physical food, different people prefer different delicacies. So similarly for your spiritual food also, you can choose different religious traditions, which is very good. So there may be philosophical differences in terms of different religions, but the message is same. Message is love. Message is brotherhood. Message is sisterhood. So with that understanding, respect all religious traditions, especially those who are sincere followers of their own religious tradition. So therefore, His Holiness, another suggestion for this interreligious dialogue is to meet the real practitioners unfortunately, in all religious traditions, the real practitioners are not that many, not that many, few. So if you really meet, His Holiness recounts this very interesting meeting with a meditator, Christian meditator, and he did not speak much English. So His Holiness made it a point to see him, and they looked at each other and changed some few words of pleasantries. And His Holiness said that without the need to use many words, his love that he practiced is very clear in his eye, the way he was looking. So that's the fruit of practice, right? So therefore, different religious traditions are like different flowers in a garden. In a garden, if there are many different flowers, different colors, it is nice. If there's only one flower, not many people will go there. His third commitment is about Tibet. His Holiness' first commitment is about human values because he is a human being. So we also have that responsibility. Second commitment is religious understanding because he is a religious figure. His third commitment is Tibet because he is a Tibetan. So those of you who are Indians, you have special responsibility to your country for preserving your culture, your language, your tradition. Similarly with the Tibetans, we have this special responsibility to preserve our environment, our culture, and so on and so forth, especially in the case of the Tibetans. And especially those of us, the Tibetans in exile, we have a very special responsibility to preserve our language and our culture and our environment. Just this morning news, I read that on the Brahmaputra, Yalung Tsangpo, the Chinese Prime Minister inaugurated a big project of putting, I think, 4 or 5 hydroelectric projects and damming Brahmaputra, whose negative consequences will be there both in Sri Lanka and India. So because of this very difficult situation in Tibet, and Tibetan children are now not allowed much to learn Tibetan language. In 10-20 years, Tibetan children in Tibet may not be able to speak Tibetan. That is the situation. So therefore, those of us who are in exile, who have the freedom, we must work doubly and triply hard to speak perfect Tibetan, to be able to write perfect Tibetan. This is our responsibility. If you really care about your country, if you really care about your fellow Tibetans, this is the job we need to do. This is the most important thing. If you are able to preserve your language, then through language, through writing, you will be able to understand all the great teachings of the Buddha and so forth. Right? And then particularly understand what is the meaning of Tibetan culture, what is the value of Tibetan culture, what are the messages taught by Buddha and great Tibetan teachers. So all those big books, Kanjur, Tenjur, they should be used as textbooks. They are not just for display there. And His Holiness said this very many times. So we should take the scriptures out and try to read. If you don't understand the meaning, ask the questions. Value it. Extremely important. This is our task. This is our responsibility. So while you get modern education, it is even more important to get the traditional education. Because modern education, unfortunately, is more related to material development, physical development. There is really not much for mental development. There's really not much. That's why His Holiness is talking about revival of ancient Indian tradition, which is his fourth commitment. Now today, we live in a world where we lead a very rushed life. And everybody says, I'm busy. Is it important to be busy? Huh? Is it important to be busy? It's not important to be busy. What is important is what are you busy about? There are areas in which you should be busy. There are areas you should not be busy. You should not go there at all. So today when we say I'm busy, primarily you are chasing things outside. You are busy trying to catch something outside to fulfill your sensual needs, to see something, to listen to something, to smell something, to touch something. This is how the big malls came up. If you go to the big malls, those people who started these big malls, they are not stupid. They are very clever. They know your weakness. So they said, if I start this big mall and put all the things which their senses need, they'll all come with their money. The world is exploited by only a few so-called clever people. Number one, we have a plastic card now today. Many people, unfortunately, don't have idea how much money is there in their plastic card. Then, in addition, as if to add fuel to the fire, all these big malls are there. When you go to the big malls, what happens? As soon as you enter the big mall, you almost lose your consciousness. You enter into a state of coma. Then you just keep on going. And then suddenly you will find this basket. You'll just pick up one basket because somebody took a basket. You have no idea why you are doing this. You have no plan what to buy for many people. So take that basket and go. And then you see this display, buy one free. Okay, good, put one there. Because the external package is so nice, you get attracted. You have no idea how old those fruit juices are. They've been lying there in the shell. They've been moving from one company to another company. Really. But they will not smell because they are conservatives. Chemicals are being put there. So you pay a lot of money for all these things, buy all those things. Then after you come out from the shop, go back to reach back to your home and unpack the things that you bought, you will be shocked to see, why the hell I bought all these things? It's already there in my home. Shopping, this is called shopping coma. This is not a new thing. It used to be in Tibet also. If you read some of the mind training text, lojung tepji nangla, thumsi sigdwa, thumldun rasiye yores, thumsi sigordila, thumsi. Enga jima tep chenda jilodi dina shopping coma kunyi takta thus. The point that I'm making is, you need to be, in today's world, in today's situation, you need to be extra alert. Where am I going? What am I doing? What am I buying? Is it really good for you? Is it really good for your culture? Is it really good for your language? Is it really good for the peace and happiness of everybody? You have to think very hard. Because that's why in Buddhism there's so much talk about the need to do meditation, mindfulness. Because meditation means involving your mental consciousness, which we hardly do. We are all using the sense consciousness. Eye, ear, nose, tongue, and then the physical touch, all those things. Where we have become slave to the dictates of the five sense consciousnesses and not giving any credit to the mental consciousness. So the important thing is, if you use your mind and think and reflect and especially do something positive, it will leave its imprint on that mental consciousness. And when you die, it is the mental consciousness, especially the subtle consciousness, which goes to the next world, not the sense consciousness. So all the practices that you do with involving your sense consciousness, seeing a temple, probably if it leaves an imprint on the mind, it may be good, but otherwise will have not much impact. So you need to involve your mind through meditation. Now meditation means not sitting in a corner closing your eye. Meditation means getting habituated. Getting habituated means obviously getting habituated with good ways of life, good ways of thinking. In bad things like anger, you don't need meditation. You're already expert on meditation, on anger. You already know anger. You already know jealousy. So meditation means, the need to do meditation is you are controlled by your mind. Is this true? You are controlled by your mind. You are not controlled by your body. You are primarily controlled by your mind. So your mind is your boss, not your teacher, not your husband, not your wife. Your mind. And that is not a big problem, that you are controlled by your mind. But the problem is the mind which is controlling you is predominantly stupid one, negative one, short-sighted one, ignorant one. That's why we get a hell lot of problems. So therefore, the path to peace and happiness is transforming your mind. And that practice of transformation of mind is called Che. Che means change, transform the negative mind to the positive mind. That is called Che. So meditation means getting your mind habituated with good ways of thinking, getting your mind habituated with love, with compassion, with resilience, with patience, with forgiveness and so on. That is called meditation. So, the third commitment is preserving this very precious, unique Tibetan culture, Tibetan language, and Tibetan environment, which we have not much control right now, but we should make it a point to make Tibet a zone of peace. Because all the important rivers in Asia come from Tibet. So it is not only the Tibetans who will suffer, but all the neighboring countries will suffer. And the another important thing is, and His Holiness in his four commitments, he said, this third commitment to work for Tibet is the most difficult thing that he encountered. The other three commitments, he had made these commitments freely and voluntarily out of his own personal choice as an important mission. The commitment on Tibet is not out of his choice. As and when he was chosen as His Holiness the Dalai Lama, he had to take this responsibility. I don't know what is happening. Right? So therefore, Tibet is right now passing through a very critical, difficult period. The very identity of Tibetan culture and Tibetan people is facing total threat of extinction. Because one, in Tibet, where we have now nearly 8 million human population, normally we say 6, but according to one well-researched data, they say around 8 million human population. They have no choice, no freedom in Tibet. And those of us who are in exile, we are also scattered now to different countries. So unless we make extra, special effort, it may be an uphill task for us to preserve it. Right now things are relatively going well because His Holiness is still present among us. His inspiration is among us. But how long we can just rely on Him? So the best way of relying on Him is follow His teachings for many lives to come and make sure all the Tibetans remain united. Because unless we become strong, unless we become educated, unless we are able to use the world platform, China is not going to show any compassion and love for us. They don't care about us at all. All they care about is Tibet. They want the land of Tibet. They want the mineral resources of Tibet. They don't want Tibetans. They call Tibetans barbarians. That's why any Tibetan who is really shining up, they will silence, kill, and whisk him or her away. That is what has been happening for the last so many years. So you should be cognizant about what is happening in Tibet with our brothers and sisters. And each and every day you should make a commitment, do something to preserve our language, our culture, and more importantly, unity of the Tibetans. Many times, unfortunately, human beings like anywhere are same because of short-sightedness. You know, when you are able to go to a place where you are able to find a nice room to stay a little bit of money to spend around. Then you think you've gained the whole world. And then you turn to your own people instead of turning to the enemy, which is very, very unfortunate. Because even the Chinese government, when they expelled the Tibetans, they did not discriminate, saying that I will expel out only the Uzangs or only the Amdos, only the Khambas. They did not say. They thrown all of us out. Even the enemies are treating us as same. They are not discriminating it. Now after coming into exile, look at the intermarriage. Uzang, Amdo, Khamba, among them intermarriage. Now there are some stupid people are talking about just Khamba, just Uzang, just Amdo. Are you going to destroy all these marriages? Are you going to do the work which is not finished by the Chinese government? But I'm not trying to give you a bleak picture. We have great hope, because the hope is His Holiness during the past so many years made us strong by establishing all these schools, all these settlements, and during the past so many years, and now we have many relatively good educated Tibetans, not only in the traditional sets of learning, but also in the modern sets of learning. Very capable. If you have just witnessed a little bit about the recent celebration in Dharamsala, you can see how united and how efficient they are. Like Dharamsala was completely flooded with Tibetans. I was amazed from where the hell all these Tibetans came from. They all pulled together to see His Holiness, to be together. That is our strength. And that gives a big signal to the enemy. Yes, Tibetans are not dead. They are going to do something. So therefore I need to honestly go for the dialogue. If you are not strong, you just talk about negotiation, dialogue, China will not give a damn. They are only waiting that His Holiness goes away, then all the problems are solved. So it is our responsibility to continue the legacy of His Holiness Dalai Lama by, number one, being together. Number two, preserving all the good Tibetan values and traditions. So that is His Holiness's third commitment, to speak bravely. And his fourth commitment is, sometimes we use the word revival of ancient Indian tradition, but these days we prefer using preservation and promotion of Indian traditions. Preservation, promotion, and appreciation of the great Indian value systems. I quite recently bought a book of science in the Indian philosophical tradition. It's very rich even in the field of science and in the field of philosophy, of course. Very rich, very deep. So therefore, like the monks in all these monasteries, they spent almost 20 years, day and night, studying the meaning of these profound philosophical teachings that came from India. The concept of interdependent origination, the concept of non-violence, the concept of compassion, the concept of harmony, these are all something that we study every day. And when you study such a thing, then you are able to clearly understand, non-violence is not just absence of violence. Non-violence is a dynamic force, active practice of compassion. You will understand this. And you will also understand, even if you look at your physical structure, you are more non-violent than violent. For example, you don't have teeth like tigers. We eat meat, but if we are to kill the animals that we want to eat, instead of being able to kill the animals, all our teeth will fall out. We don't have those kind of teeth. Then look at our nails. It's only good for scratching, not for preying other animals like the hawks and the eagles and things like that, right? And then His Holiness once demonstrated this by saying that if you look at the arms, long arms, it is good for hugging, not for hitting. Then also these nice fingers for shaking hand, not for hitting. And I cannot forget this one. Once His Holiness was, giving this kind of teaching in the Brahma Kumari in Varanasi. So I was sitting on his right side, supposed to be the translator. So His Holiness said, "This is not for hitting." And His Holiness hit me hard. I nearly fell from the chair. So I remember this very, very well. So therefore, now the problem is, physically we are more non-violent. And then why so much violence today? Because we misused our human intelligence. Only few people use intelligence the right way, like His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, many great teachers are there. And because they use this human intelligence the right way, even one person brought so much peace and happiness in the world. Now we don't see so many people like that today. Very few people, because I had this great privilege of meeting Nelson Mandela, having a cup of tea with him, and also Václav Havel in Czech Republic. And when I personally met them with His Holiness, they were down-to-earth, ordinary human beings. No pretension, no haughtiness, no arrogance. Right? So only few people like that. Unfortunately, today I don't know how many people are there. So as somebody said, if you don't find any good people around today, you yourself be one. You yourself should become one good person. And we all have this capacity to do something good. Right? So revival of ancient Indian tradition or preservation of Indian tradition primarily means the art of logic, using reason. Whenever you have some problem, don't jump to conclusion, think, use your reason, use your brain. Second, you should know the art of controlling your emotions, how to control anger, how to reduce attachment, how to reduce jealousy, how to reduce negative compassion. This beautiful technique, luckily in all the Tibetan texts, you can read all this very, very easily. Right? So we must imbibe those qualities. Now, for example, anger. If you think a little bit, the destructiveness of the anger, you will be able to develop that conviction. Yes, anger is very bad. So write all the negativeness about anger. For example, anger makes you ugly. So question is, you want to become ugly? Nobody wants to become ugly. That's why you put some cosmetics on your face, you comb your hair, wear nice clothes, and after all this ornamentation and donning, if you get angry like this, you look ugly. And when you get angry, you lose your blood pressure increases. And when you get angry, your sense of discrimination, what is right, what is wrong, doesn't stay. You become a mad person. And not only that, I have a book published in America, which says that American loses billions of dollars because of anger. Not just a religious practice. In terms of, even if you think in terms of your economical benefit, you lose so much because of your negative emotions. There are people who work like a donkey but always shortage of money because they don't live a healthy life. Right? Right? So therefore you need to think in all these different perspectives why these inner values are important. If you are somebody who has developed all these inner values, like His Holiness Dalai Lama, he has faced so much problem. Lose his country, given the job to look after the country when he was just 16 years old. But he always carries that smile on his face and encourages other people, right? So therefore, practices like shamatha and vipassana, these are the practices that we must draw from the Indian tradition, which means the Nalanda tradition, and practice it. All right, so maybe I'm taking too long time. Kazi karma. Oh, time flies, so I better shut up. Oh, so those of you who are interested, you can ask questions. Now it is your time to attack me. Ta khantar nge ta di inji chakjo jigang hierwa ngado ta pheba mangbo yoza ngaron so phebla yodeng ge sangje chö da dinane la shagen yarab josan sede da ta zambuling na rai megen gi Nuruchi radio, thing of the intimate Shango, that thing of the Tapujamatu, and then of the Kaya Majore, Joe Shibuchar, the Tangushena. That the other Chilo Tadas is June and Gotom, they did not look at Jungle, taste the Yungre. In a Tende Jaja, Jagalachi, and it's just all Corona, like Gimbe, Shambala, Lamdunchi game, Labjaj game, and Loshamboto, the Japan Roshana. That runs the passion, Missosuki Rangomatungi, Miriti Chai, Yanga Yorda. Nagune, Tensanga, Mangushiko, daddy. Negavering Tarva, the Tamji Chamber, there's Shasho Labia. Kakure, Dilelo Yomare. Rangzen, there's Shasho Kayomare. Ngala Chora, me, Yundin Yogin, Yarab Josan Yogin, Jondan Yogin, Benjora, Dutugi, Susu, Tanda Yundegi, Mikenda, Tuzo dancer, Tonjon dancer, Tende Machak in the Miriti Sour Tambo. This Johnson, any Kene, me, Chulu, Lectin, Layu de Batamarins, Laure, Tendegan Jigde Mijugi, Jondan Yogin, Rawa, Ziga, Tende Miriti, Popa Yodingi, Yarab Josan Yodingi, Tende Miriti Sutubsuna. Tene Layu de Batamarins, Digane, Taratamji Chamber, that runs in the Mangushi. Tango Rango Koramato and the Ramsey Karishi. Yamlin Naji Chamber, Taratamji Chamber here, and Hirashi chose Tonguman, Tangushina. Teach you then other Tanda Uti Jamguru without the issue, the Tanashi, Kutama Manguyo, the Sachambusi, Tongsambusi, Kujabchi, Roa, and the Kunambe, Sunchajo, Labjatus, Takoya, Wajamna, or the Chara Chunor Taron, the Batense, Yale Silla, Punzo de Hise Jore, or Punzo de Hichana Chanas or Agreta. Punzo de Hise to Sindela in Aya, and a Digi, Tanga Yodegi, Mipins in Dewaya Yodegi, and Javachima in a Tarotam Jimotobi, the Chata Yung degree. Niri Mizina Arab Josan Chedena. Dubna Chim de Najan, Tarvayu, Pavujalo, Marble Soshi, Madu Ringor Netan, Nesunju, Chivasai Kumbur Samji Hins Lavre, Dubna Chuyamlechena, go Mizar Jesu Chokajim and the Puguda Kanin Chimsan Chazan Cherva, those dead and Ayako, Samba Sambo Chedena, Tarotokres Lavre, Dubna Chim de Najan, Tarvayu Lavre. Pesu Karsana, Noma Jagar Pakwe Yuda Perla. Jevo the Lumbo, then Miller Carse Marva, the Dreamango Chungo Asel, Pagwe, General Marva Lasso, he is celebrated. Tam Jamle Machevaina, Gombenal Pasha and the Regan La Dene, some digos and the Regan Dene, during Budena, Dessa Supu the Regan La De, some of the town Dena, Yumar celebrate. Madu Ringor Nejang, Yesung Jews, Chivasai Kumbur Samji, Chivasi Marmot said it, Talada, the Sajakaja, Manguto, the Dukes Yalang, Gage of the door. Or did a cope and Dava took such a conqueror, Sai Kumbunal. Some day or the day they were the Gotovia came out. Kujol, Korachi, good the day or Tovia came and do. Jeda, the Samba Sound, a Southern Lamian, Sang Sambang in a Southern Lamia, Nien celebrate. George Pandia di Shaggy, Kadu in a Michi Shogatusuna, and the same Kibuchunge, Sungudua. How later do so? Same Kibuchuna, then dig there, Miller Samba Nakochi, somewhat Tingmare. Same Jibu made any diamond a chain, Chawingo. Camgurumbuja, Call of during Bush now, TJ del, oh, that can also some Simba Sanguchi, same Kibuchi, Sungudua. Could you pay Chimburda? There was the same Jibuchi margin and Gorge, the trap those days, say, oh, Mare. Same Jibu, Karisio, Jibuchi, Jumzekar. Yasan Samlana, Millie the Rich top couple, huge top the other. Roa. Kasi Mendusana, the meal with the toilet in the twin the division. The kid of the Pakwa of the Niki and the Kanachasare. The day is a durne, some of them, and the Lakwa the Jamguru was in Shavala with the Sungju here. That's how you move, send the little in Tangaranso did Tabachan, Genesis Sigurity. Netrokungo Shimbachi, Ngama Janal to do. John Bluefield says you. Injipola, Lochimbo Chimbuchire. Korapaga Janal Lunichus Desha. And in a janal Tamaji, that rich rare. To do Koranyam to Tanga Shima, get a hejo. Juma Korangi Tebjitiore. Tebjitin, a Javarumbuch in Jedo, then a Tebjitia, Tebjin, a Tina cook, Tebjin, a Carlaversana, the Javarumbuch and the Javarumbuch de la Cheres, Sigures, Cheres in Gunina, menacing Tachi and a good Tior dinner. And a good Tachi and a Tachi in Gunina, Karkar Sangosare. And Tanda Javarumbuch, Chijo Kardu, those Tachi and a good Dom Javing. The Chinese in one and Jena Chicks and a Javlo in a real court in conscience. Henda Tara Rachas Tidua. This would be Dirwatang around so sonum sedu. Any Rangye Lhakdor Rikpa Gu, Chimbikam the Nyingma Mangsar, Susu Sonam Meva Shangdo, Javaramachela, Siseda, Karatanga, Susan Jonah Kegi making, Jizol Hibju Kaya making, Hambache Tajo Kacha Jachin, Halam Javarmachi, singing on the Delar in the Dua, Tabu Hudenda, Chagureta. And the Suzuki Geshe with the Kaga Den Digrua, they may watch it. Rangye Lhakdor Rikpa Gusel, Susu Langye to then Damage Tiangures or Yanga Yorda, any me the Cocoyang and Damage, Chik Reda, Join Chegorda, this to Hinjang. Rangye Lhakdor Rikpa Gu, Chimik come to Yingma Mans, Chimik to come near to the young Mamma go to Younger, then Chimik the come to Tare. That Tanga some Shena, Tanga to the Garo Chiatare. Tanga to Servant, son of us, you can transfer. I'm going to Sungjo Mango, you would hear us, that's another Mango Chilla Shira, not Mango Chilla Tindera, Chungmenaya, and things that you Sungjo Nasha, someone young Nye Dua, some Danju Chen, Yorwa to do Nye, Mizit 100 Dembache, what did it? What did she do? Gave us some in Samne, Dr. Chikdichi, Chambochi, Hurta Pardachena, Jamgurumajing, Tuji Garing, and Zambuling Nala Pebas in the Tong Young into Suecha Yorada. Provision said the Pumpan Danyam and Rea, which is Suecha. Not to go Kugumar and go Chaja, Javaruchi Suecha. She did that deal. Lamka, the Shinti Suji, Lamka to Shajo Tigala, Nanasoke, Yarab Josan, Kundusuma, Nashin Cherva, Chamdun Chin Roda. Not to resume the name of me or Tanguchen. Guman me, not to Chakwan me, Mr. Tarjon Chigme, come to the Suzu College of Suzu Sova Druva, and Yarab Josan Chidi, Takazan, the Nansik, the Lunjik Sungswa, the Mysore do some channels, Kambareda, Dehos, Chikbareda, Cham the Bay Aquios, just another Chimti, Suzu Yungsaki, Lumba Dina, like Dodi Shida, Soya, Marapala, Rokoche Tugur. This singing Jarakonas the Mongol lives. You mean like count to the Rokoche in the Shena, or the Yabuchagrava, or the Shotu show some that Tibetan to Zuri, Tibakashi.
Hello. Thank you, Geshe, for enlightening us with your words of wisdom and for such an insightful and inspiring talk. Now I would like to leave the floor open for a brief and question and answer session. If you have any question, please raise your hand. We'll hand over the mic to you.
Okay, just ask questions. Don't make too many comments. Okay, please, for sure, because of time. Yeah.
Your Holiness, very good morning. I am Professor
Number one, don't call me Holiness.
Okay.
You can say Guruji.
Guruji. I am Professor Malini from University of Mysore. I am heading Department of Genetics and Genomics. And I am doing lot of research related to meditation.
Yeah.
And everyone, they talk about meditation, even Vipassana, all mindfulness, everything. But in a very scientific way, I am giving the insight of meditation to everyone, even general public. What happens when you meditate? What are all the changes happens in your brain? What are all the chemicals releases when you meditate? So when you do meditation, even they did functional MRI, our brain, they found that you could connect to cosmic energy. You will be in a gamma state. So it is a right time to show the glory and importance and science of meditation to the whole world. Because you must be knowing, we are living in the world of materialistic and technology is replacing everything. This is really the right time, need of the hour. Everyone should know the knowledge of meditation, and we have to make it mandatory for children, everyone. Every day they must meditate at least 3 times. Thereby they can activate their human brain, not the animal brain. We have both human and animal brain. And prefrontal cortex, if we activate, we will be genius. Everything we can do. So we can tap the intelligence also. So through you, let it reach the whole world, and we once again will start celebrating the importance of meditation, mindfulness, and all the thoughts by Holiness Dalai Lama ji and all Buddha and others, those the intellectual people. So this is my one. And what's your this one related to the spreading of this importance of meditation to the whole world, even the Western world? They are in need of the meditation now. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, meditation. Meditation is nothing sacred, nothing holy. It is a technique to transform and change one's mind. And if you properly see it and be with yourself and reflect, of course, the positive consequences can be measured in through MRI or any other scientific laboratory. And we have done this earlier also, and very profound, significant consequences were found by meditating in general, and also the inner heat, the Tummo meditation and so forth. This has been done before many times. So that's there. But the most important thing is, when we say meditation, meditation is not going somewhere. Meditation, first and foremost, is be with yourself. That's the first step. Because most of us are not with ourselves. As I already mentioned in my talk, most of us are just running away, not be with yourself. That's the problem. And in fact, I can say this is one of the major problems of the world in the past and today. The problem is people don't know how to live with others and also don't know how to live with oneself. That is a big problem. And especially in today's world, to be with oneself is something that is lacking. And in many of my talks and meetings with people, some people, when we talk about finding happiness, they always think finding happiness means happiness of living with others. That's also okay, but that's not my main kind of talking. So because of this, many people said, Geshe, do you live alone? I said, yes, I live alone. Are you really happy? That's what people think. If you're living alone, you can't be happy. Then I said, yes, of course, I'm very happy. Then how? Because I have a place to sleep. I have something to eat. There's no famine, no drought, and other calamities in Dharamsala. So I'm very, very happy. And I'm also able to do something for my people, preserving Tibetan culture and so forth. So I'm very happy. So therefore, the point that I'm making is, the result of a meditation should be transformation of the person. The transformation of the person should be visible through meditation. If that is not there, then your meditation is not successful. If you have been meditating on compassion, then, of course, not in one day, but gradually you should become a compassionate person. That's the purpose of meditation. Okay? Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello? Okay. Respected...
Okay.
Respected Geshe Lhakdor Lao, Venerable monks, esteemed guests, young minds, and old people who are gathered here. So when you asked, is it important to be busy? And when you answered it by saying, what's more important is what you're busy about, that really stayed in my head. So a question popped out of nowhere. So Geshe Lao, as a young Tibetan growing up in a world full of distractions and pressure to succeed in modern ways, I often wonder, how can we make sure that what we're busy doing is not just useful for our careers, but also meaningful to our identity, our community, and our inner development? In your view, what should we as Tibetan youth be most busy about? Thank you.
Half of the answer is there in your question. You partly answered your question, but I will elaborate a little bit on that. Many people ask this question, how can I live like this? How can I do like this when the rest of the people are doing like this? I answered them by saying, if the rest of the people are jumping from the 9th floor and committing suicide, are you also going to jump from the 9th floor and commit suicide? So the point I'm making is, you don't have to run where everybody runs. And if you look at the life history of those great people, like His Holiness and Buddha, they were different from ordinary people. So therefore they were able to become this great person, different person, capable person, person with wisdom. If you, forgive me to say this, if you go with the majority of the people, you will go to hell. Something like that, really. Even in today's world, we go with the so-called majority of the people in the name of democracy by citing government by the people, of the people, for the people. But then look carefully, the majority of the people are ignorant. So the government doesn't become government of the people, by the people, for the people. The government becomes government by the cattle, for the cattle, of the cattle. That's the problem. So therefore, the point that I'm making is, there are occasions when you need to socialize a little bit, but most of the time you just don't rush where everybody is rushing. You should just think. Because something reminded me, a quotation which says, if you go alone, the path will be clear. If you go with the crowd, it will be crowded, of course, all the time. You will not find the right place for you. So therefore, the point that I'm making is, you need to find your identity first of all. And make sure that your identity is not the one given by the society. You need to find your authentic identity. As I already mentioned, you are the only true original copy in this world. So you find your identity, your capacity, your interest, the things you want to achieve in your life or for your community. Having identified that, then devote more time to this. And then if I simplify it, it's very easy. The reason we are living is, number one, we need a job. We need to feed this body. So make sure what you do, what you study, gives you a job to start with. Then just getting money, getting a job is not enough. You are much more deeper than the money, than the things that you get. You have a cultural aspect. You have an aspect of a particular language, particular religion and so forth. That's why you talk about your country. So therefore, as and when you have time, you should try to, number one, have those qualities within yourself, to be able to speak, as I said, to be able to speak fluent Tibetan, right, perfect Tibetan, move towards that. And then, more importantly, as a person, become a person with wisdom, with good heart. If you have only heart, no wisdom, people will bully you. So you should have heart, but that heart must be supported by analytical meditation, the capacity to think and judge, right? So it is important to simplify your life a little bit, because you don't have to do everything that the world is doing, and you will never be able to do that also. And there's no need to do that also. For example, if you're thirsty, you need to drink water, right? But you don't have to drink the whole ocean. And you can't drink it also, and there's no need to drink that also. But you need enough water to quench your thirst. As simple as that. Okay?
Geshe, I'm a student of STS Bylakuppe studying in class 10. So as you have said that loving yourself is very important in our life. So my question is, how to love ourselves, or what are the process that is needed to make ourselves happy? Thank you.
So to love yourself basically means appreciate your life, right? Appreciate this life that is given to you by your parents. Your life is actually a product of love of your parents. So that is the reason that you should love your life. And number two, you are born in a culture, in a community where there is so much goodness, which you have also, knowingly, unknowingly, which you have also inherited, imbibed. So you already have many good things already because of your parents, because of teachers, because of His Holiness and so forth. So because of these qualities that's there with you, you are precious. Not only just you are a human being, but you have this special cultural, religious, spiritual qualities. Therefore you are very important. You have the capacity to benefit many others. Therefore you are important. Therefore you are precious. It's not saying that you are the only precious person, the rest are, bunch of stupid people. It's not like that. But because of the qualities that you have, right? And you represent your parents. And you represent Tibet. You represent His Holiness. Therefore you are precious. Okay?
Hello, check.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, thanks a lot. I am Saurabh. I work in a large company, but I have a deep interest in philosophy. So, Your Highness, I want to talk about the first two values that you highlighted, right? The first value is about human values, like how we should be moral and ethical. But you also mentioned that how animals live a simple life because they surrender themselves to the law of nature, right? I read somewhere that 90% of the tiger cubs, they get killed by their own father, right? So there is no morality. There is no morality and there is no ethics in animal kingdom. So isn't it contradictory that at one hand you are talking about law of nature, but on the other hand you are talking about morality or ethics, which doesn't exist in animal kingdom? So that's the first question. And
Let me deal with the first question.
Yeah.
I used the word, the animals live a simple life. I did not say animals lead an ethical life. I did not say that. They have simple life. Now ethics, they may have a little bit but not much. You are right. So when we talk about ethical values, it is predominantly, talked about in the human society because we have this large brain and capacity to judge what is right, what is wrong, what is good for you, what is good for others. So therefore, the importance of morality and ethical values are taught primarily among human beings, not so much about animals. I was just simply saying the animals lead a simple life. Not necessarily because they are intelligent or ethical or good, but it's the way it is.
So would you agree that ethics and morality is against the law of nature, and that is the reason we find it so difficult to inculcate morality and ethics amongst us?
Yeah, because these are related because of your not being able to understand the deeper nature of reality. You go for shortcut, for quick pleasures, without thinking about the long-term consequences of destroying the nature and so forth. As a result, you suffer. For example, the pollution, as I mentioned earlier, the pollution of water, air, and many other bad things that is happening, environmental degradation that's happening in today's world, is a clear indication of going for short-term pleasure and not thinking about long-term happiness. Now the result is, because of this random destruction of environment and so forth, we are already experiencing the negative consequences. And this is happening because we don't know that the natural resources are physical resources. Anything that is physical, material, by definition has a limitation. So you cannot make unlimited progress from limited resources. And not knowing this, we misuse the available resources and completely deplete the natural resources. So that is the tragedy that we are facing because of just going for the short-term pleasures. Okay?
Thank you. I have one more question. Do you think like we should move away from religious pluralism to religious nihilism?
Religious what?
Nihilism, like discarding all the religion. Do you think that's a better way forward? Like you talked about being secular, like we should respect all the religion. I think do you think a better way out would be discarding all the religion?
Possible. Because religion is nothing sacred, nothing holy. It is a way of addressing human problems. If this is not happening from religion, then we have every right to discard religion. Animals don't have religion. Human beings also, right from the birth, we don't belong to any religion. And in fact, if you study Western philosophy and modern science, you will find that in the beginning, in the Western, there is Western philosophy, no Western science. In the Western philosophy, there were many metaphysical questions about the existence of God and so on and so forth. And then some of the thinkers, they said that some of these metaphysical things, maybe there, maybe not there, but it is not easy to understand. So therefore, for the time being, strike the word matter out. Delete the word matter out, and what is left behind is physics. This is how science separated from philosophy. So physics means something that is material, physical, something that we can explore, something that we can touch, something that we can understand. So therefore science is focused more on something that we can explore, feel, get affected, not so much about the unseen forces. So sometimes, as I already mentioned, without having any clue of who the God is, who the unseen forces is, we simply fight in the name of those things, which is unfortunate. So under such circumstances, it is better not to have religion. Okay?
Thanks.
Hello. Yeah. How to live every day happy? Like discipline makes us every day happy, or way life become very systematic?
Every day happy. I'll answer this. How to remain happy every day, right?
Yes.
Once I was giving a talk in Moscow. I was giving a public talk. Then I was talking something about, happiness and removal of suffering, something like that. Then in the front row, there's an elderly Russian lady. She got up and said, Geshe, your talk is very wonderful, very nice. But I'm an old Russian lady living alone, nobody living with me. So how can I be happy? This is the question she asked. I said, I understand your problem, but at least I see you have both the legs, you have both the hands, both your eyes are intact. This is the reason you should be happy. Many people, the problem today is many people don't appreciate what they have. They only aspire what they don't have. If I become a billionaire, I will be happy. If I am able to buy a Mercedes car, I will be happy. If I have a swimming pool, I will be happy. And because of this, they don't appreciate what they have. While you can aspire for many more good things, but first you get settled. First you get settled and appreciate everything that you have, and you will be happy. Really will be happy. So there is a practice in Buddhism where right in the morning, when we get up with happiness. You get up with this feeling of bliss. There's there in the Lama Chopa prayer, puja. So it's your thinking. It's your thinking. Let me tell you, for the sake of the student, let me tell you one story, a documentary that I watched once. There was a gentleman who had to join a war conflict. And before he goes to that war, he tattoos his body, does a Buddhist ritual and tattoos his body, thinking that he will be protected from the enemy. Then he goes to fight, and there he was caught by the enemy, and both of his hands are cut, both of his legs are cut. He's in a difficult situation, right? Then he was somehow able to come back. Then he was interviewed. And then the interviewer asked him, since you went there with this Buddhist ritual, thinking that you will be protected, now look at your situation. Both of your hands are gone, both of your legs are gone. What do you say? You will be amazed to see that this man without hand and without leg looks at the screen, the television screen, and says, I am still alive. I am still alive. With a smile on his face, he says, I am still alive. See, this is the thing. He's not thinking about the missing hands and legs. He's thinking about the good thing that he's still alive. Alive means as a human being with this mental capacity to do many good things. Physically he's handicapped, but mentally you can do so many good things. So this is attitude, how you think.
Okay. Next question. The war between a discipline, laziness, and a breathing space or a freedom of living. The war between a discipline or a laziness or a breathing space or a freedom of way you're living. If you become so scheduled or systematic every morning, like 6 to 7 you are doing meditation, this time you are doing bath. If the life becomes so much of timetable, what is the happiness of life? Like how we find?
It is again your mental attitude.
Sorry?
It is again your mental attitude. Because whether your life is scheduled by saying, I'll do my morning meditation at 6 or not, your life is somehow scheduled. If you're a student, you are scheduled. You go to school at such and such a time. You have to study at such and such a time. If you're working in a company, you have to go at such and such a time. Your life is somehow scheduled. So therefore, within that scheduled time, you need to learn how to be happy. Right?
But circulation which happens in our body doesn't support every day. Every day we cannot be same happy way we happy.
That's why my kind of parting advice to you is, the time to rest is when you have no time to take rest. The problem arises because you don't understand when to take rest. Doing meditation and doing Buddhist practice or spiritual practice doesn't mean you don't take rest. And in fact, meditation itself is an amazing practice of resting in your mind. So resting means not just sleeping somewhere, but your mind should be fully rested and be happy with what you are doing. Then you will not get tired.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, so we'll have to end the question and answer session here. No. Okay, so we'll take one last question.
Hello. Geshe. So, as you mentioned earlier in your talk about the term angerness, anger or hatred. So, my question is from my observation, there's different sort of anger. So, if I say there's a person, there's a particular group who get angry so fast. Like if you just say something to that person, they just get angry so fast. And on the other hand, there's some people who control their anger very well. But there's come some point, like there come a day with their anger get burst. So how these two anger are so different. Like some can control their anger so well, but they just burst out on a day, and some control their anger, but they forget easily. So is there any difference between these two anger, or they're the same? Thank you.
Nothing comes out of just one factor, one condition. Everything comes out of multiplicity of causes and conditions. So in these cases also the differences between the two people in terms of their, hot-temperedness or anger may be dependent on many things. The difference may be due to past life, the difference may be family background, difference may be their physical structure. So many causes and conditions are there. So therefore, like this is almost like asking why some people are long and why some people are short. This is dependent on many things. But the important thing is that even if you're a very, very hot-tempered person, angry person, you don't have to continue like that. We have conducted this social emotional learning in many schools. So once I was invited to the Suja school to give a talk on social emotional learning. So after my talk there was a question and answer session. And during the question and answer session there was a young boy who got up and he said the social emotional learning training was very, very useful. And he said he was very angry person before. And after this training, then that it made him thinking that what is difference between me and a tiger? What is difference between me and a lion, So I just flared up when somebody says something just like a tiger and a lion. So I'm like an animal. So I want to become a human being now. So with this kind of realization and thinking, he said his anger really came down. So you need to think whether anger is really good for you or not good for you. It's really like poison. When you don't know poison, you might eat it up and you might die. If you know this is poison, this is killing, you will not eat. It's like that. Okay?
Geshe-la, since we are receiving such insightful, thought-provoking questions from the students and the young people here, we'll welcome some more questions.
Yeah, I have no problem.
Okay.
If you want me to sit the whole day, I can sit, no problem.
So, let's see. So we'll have some more questions. Anybody interested? You can ask questions.
Hello. If there are people who are tired and who are busy, you can leave. You don't have to sit here. But those who are interested, of course, you can sit.
I, as a student, have always wondered what education really means. Like, I've asked multiple people and they have answered, education is an ever-learning process, or education is all about rote learning. So I wanted to ask, what does Geshe-la think education is? Thank you.
Very good question. The real meaning of education is not getting something from outside, but taking out what is already there within you. So education is the process that brings out your latent capacities out. That's education. And it is because of these thinkers like Einstein, he said, these days teachers bring havoc in the life of the children. They ask questions which the children don't know, but they never encourage children to let their talent come out. So education really means bringing all the good things within you out, express your capacity. So teachers help that. So education is not equal to literacy. Today, unfortunately, education is understood as equal to literacy. Education means reading, writing, mathematics. That's not education. Education means human flourishing. Education means human flourishing, which means through such learning and practice, you should be able to become a calm, established, happy person, flourishing person. If that is there, you can be considered as an educated person. On the contrary, if there's somebody who calls himself a doctor and a PhD and BA and MA and all the papers, but very angry person, very disturbed person. It's not educated. That person is really like an animal, well-trained animal. That is called well-trained animal, not educated person, right? So education, some people also explains education 3H. Education is something that is the component of the 3H, head, heart and hand. In the Tibetan society, we need this part, the hand part, very much. Head means the intellectual academic learning, which then transforms the heart. These two must be there. But a clear indication of having these two combination is that you should be able to go in the society and use your hand and work and do things, not just always sitting on a chair and talking, right? 3H. So there are many different ways of explaining education. From Tibetan Buddhist viewpoint, Labasum, Sutimji Laba, Tinginji Laba, Hirabji Laba, 3 training we call it, 3 precepts. Sometimes people translate this as 3 educations. Education of morality, education of concentration, education of reasoning. Sutimji Laba means education of morality, ethics. Tinginji Laba means education where you are able to concentrate on whatever you are doing. And third, wisdom is where you are able to analyze the good versus bad, one versus other, things like that. Okay?
Hello. Hello, Gisela Testle. Nga Kollegal Shijan lagi ro Gisela. Oh, Gisela. Ani nga tiwa di phege thoni ge la choji ro Gisela. Ani nga ran chitan thada tiwa thangbu di da thada nge dam la gya de ge kusas ro. Ninda ra chinga zu gi sempa kyu chi de gore Lhakdor da ina sempa kyu khande shin de go me di nga zu mi mangbu chi ge ha ko min tu ro ya ina thanda Gisela son su ro sempa kyu de nga zu chega jona nge yo mare la son su ro khare la nga ran su supu nang lo kangba lakwa chang de yona anchala khare yo adi nga zu deba khane de gore jina ani nga zu ninda ra ji sempa kyu le de tu re son su ro ini ya thanda thingsang ge thuje la nge ende ta du sambala mi mangbu chi mau pala ne semde shu chi du ro ya mau pa ta nga zu di chigu du mau pa di chigu du la mau pa kya nga zu ge samlo tang de ora china present moment la nga zu ki u dia sam shingi mare sam gi dra de thu mare sam gi do de Gisela ku ji thu chi se ti ko la dor tu chi dishish kya na na sun la thu chi la
ta de maung ta de tu sum yorwa de bal la te se samlo ta ne lobjon leng gore. Learn from history, from past. Timado ke debal hiwi ji tujo dang na chos ke mar char charwa. Lobjon le yor da. Debal dinde nutu tang sha di chi me se di lobjon le yor. Ta maung ba da lo mangbu jel pha sha ne jagar gi chik lag doa kal kisne dekha lag doa. Sanyi si thong yor ngo de chi sanyi gi chiga chere da nga de pepe ke janal da hedan da damenda yore. Nijik debe seme jan loja debe ding se samlo tangwe de ke je yode yore de to chahi ting da ting gore de ina chahi ting da de maung wala ne pe de ta pe na dinere da tanga da lobda ka da lobjon jang gore ta jibote me ta kale ja gore lobda thyo san ne lega che gore lega rangme ge ya kale yore lega ra su san ya changsa tak da ji ja ra yung me kang ge yore e changsa tak da jap sun ya pu tak da ji je yung me da pu ya pu ji je yung me kang ge yore dinde chene zor ro mi si rwa dinde indu maung ba ge chehi ji de go re de maung be thanda la thanda pe de ji bu chi ga tang mo de chene samlo tang na de no du chen bu re se ore kya da gom jab de be in the present se do ka sa na maung ba la chehi go na maung ba de samlo tung ba ki tang na dig marwa chehi thanda ni che go ro chedu you have to be in the present that is to the chu go ro Rwa, ti majung na ane je kongdang ki kolob che yore. Tamju cheju majung nishu chins. Chego samne nishu chins. Majung samne nishu chins. Misi tungbo sewe namdar yin se lavre. Kana chu chegen jaje ina ya lo nishu partu ta chu shira che ragmares. Kana ko lo shonjo rwa ragmares. Ta lo tine lo shibju partu ta tamju chego se ta chu chegenda se nga changma dinde re dowa 다지 지인다. 다 직 소라 대중사서는 직 지인다. 강바디 잡서는 직 지인다. 직 내가 디사서는 지인다 세네. 독신이야 로샤도 로십지 버다. 제고 섬는 니슈치. 다데네 로니슈네 독지시도 다 거로 gen고 차인데 에메게 시라마도 암조게 시라마고 비모나에 고츠그로와 데치시도에네 이게 시라 장면에 싱그마로와 데치시도에네 담주 지주마주 니슈치. 독신에네 미시동바 세베 남다린 세지도와 데솔 페데네 먼저 강투도 단다 제고래. 단다 제나 마음과 시라 섬로다는 마다나 그 단다 제샤와 되게 디우들레 그러와. 단다 맞제시네 마음과 지주요 섬는 이 팽마레스 거래. 단다 기부당이나 단다 기부당스에 대한 가정문주 제게적게 말와. 단다 소소 내당 된데 지요와데 야고래 딱제 고급도 삼바지 내가 락더치 에 마음과라면 섬로데 때 땅나 초그래 땅 마단 리마르 땅 거와 롱텀 비전 세데 거와 인 디코랑 강래 섬로당네 단다 미세디 게마도나 엔 초중마서 어디 두선 개바 매번 로그레스 간다 단다 인고 가르스나 랑레 따르 그레세 오래 랑레 니리 신데 랑레 여러분 인지 그 담배 지어래 you judge yourself by what you think you can do but people will judge you what you have done slabre 저런 게 ngara samlo de chedo de chedo samla da 지게 제요 말다 시비 제요 삼나 삼로 나데는 릭데베 소르지 미기 저런 탁주 된데 지거데 미기 된데 탁주 지금 말했어 미기 저런 거리 제시할 때네 애니 저런 전부 도문도 탁주 지그랬으라 그래 당가도 배바르지나 그 나도 지긴다 니 지긴다 세데 숨주 두진 김에 잡고 그러와 디젤 개면 도와 애니 용문도 와 제가 먼저 남질을 카이 볼라는 팽말이 멘데 볼라 그러지 디네 정으로 그러와 그 멘데 쉬네 볼라 그러면 또 카이 볼라는 멘데 내가 제 도마로와 어찌데 다 소소게 그래서 프레젠트 모멘트 간다 데네 제고래 기보에 땅고래 내가의 제고래 디케심으로 세고 나도 먼저 인지 칙 디지오래 today is Geshe tanda dingwijang res pechu tang chojo res and tomorrow khare post dated check in chik su law ingress chik yore dire ya
tasdile Geshe la
how are you oh yeah
I am from SDS Gurubara and you stated before that China does not want Tibetan people, it wants its land. Then why does China interfering with the Dalai Lama's reincarnation?
They don't want, this is a good question, but they don't want His Holiness's reincarnation. They want use the reincarnation. They don't want reincarnation because they don't believe in Buddhism. But they know there are many people who believe in Buddhism, so therefore they think that if they have somebody called Dalai Lama, they can use it. That's their ploy. They don't want Dalai Lama because the present His Holiness Dalai Lama, they always said he is a counter-revolutionary. He is a wolf in the monk's cloth. So they said all the nasty things. Now these days they are not saying so much because they want to use his name. Okay?
Hello, Geshe. I had this one question that has been bugging me lately. That is, we are always taught to be compassionate towards others. But what if, even if you try to be compassionate toward others, even if you try everything that you can, but people still talk about you, people are still going on about what you did, even if you don't really think you have done something bad. So, if I don't feel compassionate towards these people, is it selfish of me? Is it selfish to feel, is it selfish if I don't feel compassionate towards some people?
Okay. No, when we talk about developing compassion, of course, there are different types of compassion. Some compassion may be limited compassion. Some compassion like great compassion, Nyingje Chimbo, which talks not only about human beings but all sentient beings. So it depends upon your level, okay? But the point is that whatever good qualities you are trying to develop, including compassion, it should not be done out of selfishness. If I give this, maybe I'll get something bigger in return. If I practice a little bit of... Actually, there's not compassion. If you do something with the wrong motivation, it's not genuine compassion. It's really like business, right? So when we talk about developing loving kindness and compassion, we are not talking about doing a business. You develop love and compassion because that other person is suffering, that other person is having problem, and therefore you feel sorry for that person. So that is compassion. Okay?
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, Lhakdor.
Oh, how are you? Oh, that one.
And my name is Lugsum. I am from STS Bylakuppe, and I'm currently studying in 10th grade. My question is that us human beings are very emotional. We have many emotions like happiness, sadness, sorrow, anger, many of them. But it turns out anger is the most hostile. But for example, when I raised my hand at the very first start of the questionnaire, the person who was supposed to give me the mic didn't give me the mic. So I felt angry because he didn't give me the mic, because I was the one who raised my hand first. So like, how do you control anger and emotional status? Because when human beings are very emotional, we make indecisive choices. So my question is that, how do you be more rational when you're in an emotional state? Thank you.
This is a great question. When it comes to controlling the negative emotions, you have to have a holistic picture. Holistic picture. Because there are so many negative emotions, and there are ways of dealing with all these individual negative emotions. That is also one way. But the bigger way of dealing with all the negative emotions, you need to see the destructiveness of all these negative emotions. And when it comes to developing the positive emotions, you need to find the goodness of these positive emotions. So now let me give you a very convincing example. Most of the negative emotions arise because we don't know the law of nature, we don't know the reality. We go after face values. All the negative emotions are like that. If you know the reality a little bit more, all these negative emotions can subside, can be reduced. Or at least you will develop the understanding that, yes, I'm wrong. For example, I give you a very convincing example. For example, let us say on this table in front of me, there are two very elderly people are lying. One woman, one man. Both of them over 90 years old. Age-wise, very old. Physically also very sick. There are wounds, pusses and bloods oozing out. So if there were two old men and women lying there in front of us, that's the reality. Now you see the reality, I see the reality, right? So having seen that reality, is there more possibility to develop negative emotions or more possibility to develop positive emotions?
I have one question.
For example, when you see these two elderly people, sick, age-wise very old, will you develop anger? Negative emotion, anger? No. Hatred? No. Attachment? I want to marry this old lady. Will you develop such attachment? They will not come. Instead, you might say, who these elderly people are? They look very old and very sick. Let us take them to hospital. Let us give them some water to drink. Positive emotions will come. So this clearly shows that most of the negative emotions that we develop are a result of not being able to see the reality as it is. As I already mentioned, we have over 8 billion human population today. And we are going to live another 100 years, not more than that. That is reality. But we don't think about this reality. Therefore, we kill each other. We make nuclear bombs, ballistic missiles, as if they are not going to die. Due to sheer ignorance, stupidity. So therefore, the best way of dealing with these negative emotions is to get the larger picture and find the root cause, and the root cause of ignorance. Ignorance means ignorance of not being able to see the reality. The reality, you call it tumbanyi, you call it impermanence, whatever you want to call it, because of our not being able to see the reality, we end up developing all these negative emotions. And then if you want to individually deal with these problems, then for example, in your case, anger. Anger arises because you're always thinking that I'm somebody. You have a little bit arrogance. Right? Cholera, ngal kharchini mara, nga labi budua. Odi nga de chung tangure. Nga rana rare mara nga hing mare di tewa de tai mara. Dine somlatana man jamru growa. When a kala said you Tarawa, kala said you mi sangachi moduna, any channel rana, Raksamare, Samarajana, Nanga Chena, any Shamni Hugro, the Sanga Japchidena. Till the Rana Marana, Karajimaji Kalamar and Hindumar. Somlatana Jamrudua. What is Somlatan the Kevaredo? Which is also Naji, Nanjin, Dangzi, said you any Karsore. Dashin challenge Zindan Dang Slave. Da the Hens, Evache, Dangzi Simboyu. Any Rangachola, Chava, the Henji Chola Dawa, Darjin challenge Zindan, Tedan, the young railing, Yabatam Georgios, Chamanal Suanahi, till and then any Yabasama you will see what you do. What did Tanga say? That Kanja, that the Chanataway was you dance. That Kandra, the Miga Kanga Yung, the Sangma, the most of the problems that human beings face is two things. One, self cherishing attitude. Second, ignorance. Self cherishing attitude means not to say you don't care about yourself, but self-cherishing attitude means thinking just about oneself and not at all about others. There is one source of human problem. Second problem is ignorance, not knowing the reality. The reality that we are all interconnected, the reality that we are all impermanent, that we are all going to die. You know, all these things we don't know. Therefore we end up doing all the stupid things. Tuche.
Thank you very much for the thoughtful questions, and thank you, Geshe, for addressing them with such clarity and wisdom. Now I would like to propose a word of thanks on behalf of the Tibet Fest Organizing Committee and on behalf of everyone present here today. I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to Geshe Lhakdor for his enlightening talk on the four principal commitments of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama and the inspiring life and legacy of His Holiness. Geshe, your words are deeply moving, wonderfully relatable, and conveyed with such warmth, clarity, and even with a touch of humor that truly resonated with our students. It was not only informative, but also profoundly inspiring. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and for your lifelong commitment to the cause of Tibet and the teachings of His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. And now, as a token of our deep respect and gratitude to Geshe Lhakdor, I would like to request the organizing committee members to come forward and present Geshe with the memento and gifts that we have prepared for Geshe. While we know that, Geshe, your tireless and selfless service to humanity, and especially to the cause of Tibet, can never truly be repaid, we hope you will accept these humble offerings as a heartfelt gestures of our appreciation and deep reverence. Thank you. And thank you, Geshe Lhakdor once again. Finally, I would also like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our esteemed audience for your gracious presence here today. We are deeply honored to have amongst us venerable monks, school heads, teachers, and students. Your presence added a great value to this special occasion, and your attentive participation reflects the deep reverence and interest you hold for the teachings shared by Geshe Lhakdor. Thank you everyone for being part of this meaningful and inspiring gathering. And with this, we have come to the end of the morning session and Geshe-la's talk. We shall meet again.